I told you we had a special surprise, and the special surprise is a woman who is very strong. She is one of the many who have said that Harvey Weinstein abused her, not once, but twice. Also raped her best friend 2 times. Her name is Louise Godbold. I hope I'm pronouncing that right because you speak so beautifully, so eloquently, and I feel like I'm a Jersey girl, Louise. Now, I know that you've written about this, so I don't really want to go over the allegations with you about what happened, but he said that you were abused. But do you feel, or did your girlfriend, who was an actress, right, whose name is?
Lizette Anthony.
Lizette Anthony. Did you harbor any ill will towards hers because she didn't warn you about Harvey Weinstein when you went to see him?
No, because, everybody responds in their own way. And her way to respond was to not tell anybody. She didn't tell the person who became her husband. She didn't tell her second husband. And we've obviously spoken since the allegations came out in 2017. And our friendship had suffered and we had not been in contact with each other. And then one of the many documentary makers had me do an interview and were trying to suggest that she was Harvey's mistress. And I was so appalled that I managed to find someone who was a mutual friend and got to speak with her. And I had to tell her finally after several months to stop crying, stop saying sorry, it's fine, I understand. She was in an impossible situation.
Impossible, right? Because people want to hide it, they don't want to tell, and they certainly don't want to think that their friends think any less of them, right? Now, you are the director of an organization called ECHO in Los Angeles, and that's really to educate and to let people deal with trauma and abuse and the trauma that can come from abuse, from whatever form, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual assault and all. Did that come around your desire to help women, to help people, to help children, to help men who are traumatized because of your situation with Harvey Weinstein, or did you have that desire to help people beforehand?
Well, the truth is that trauma begets trauma. And so I've spoken to so many of the silence breakers, not just Weinstein survivors, but Cosby survivors, R. Kelly survivors, you name it, because we're all in this very peculiar situation together. And it's actually quite phenomenal how many of us experienced trauma as children, including sexual abuse as children. And there was a landmark study done called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, and it showed that you were more likely to be raped if you had experienced childhood trauma.
And the Center for Disease Control, which is the major organization for science and diseases in the United States, they've advocated for people to have to look at that, to look at the trauma, because I even wrote it, you so inspired me that it can cause alcohol abuse, drug abuse, obesity, sexual risk behavior, and smoking, right?
Those are the outcomes of trauma, yes. And in fact, if unaddressed, it can cost you 20 years of your life. But that's not to be a fearmonger. It's possible to reverse the impact of trauma, but you have to have understood that that's what happened to you. And most people don't. They live with the migraines, they live with the inability to form close relationships, they live with the physical ailments, and then they never know that the root of all this is trauma.
Now, you didn't disclose the abuse that you say occurred with Harvey Weinstein for years until really the Me Too movement and other women came forward. What is it about, as we watched this morning, even the Silence Breakers, where you spoke and you talked, you said, and you even said to me when you sat down, you're like a nobody, you're like a little person, but you are a big person, you're an important person. You're part of this movement for women that can change the world. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that, would you testify, for instance, if they asked you to in New York?
I did agree to testify, but the judge wouldn't allow Molyneux witnesses who hadn't had exactly the same crime as the 2 women who are bringing cases against him in this particular trial.
So you were willing to stand the conviction of your beliefs against a defense attorney who you watched this weekend, who said that she's a bulldog in the courtroom and she may be able to cross-examine witnesses better because she's female, which I don't believe, actually. But did you feel intimidated at all by that, or do you feel that you're re-victimized by that? Tell me what you felt and tell me why.
The night before the Molyneux witness decision, waiting to hear whether I would actually be called, I didn't sleep at all. And I can't even imagine what the women who are testifying are going through right now. Even coming to do this press conference, I didn't sleep for 3 nights beforehand.
Wow.
So I know the women who are testifying, and I consider them extremely brave, because Harvey's defense lawyer obviously is not going to pull any punches, and she thinks because she's a woman she can get away with it. But it's disgusting. It's a disgusting way to treat sexual assault survivors and women who have so bravely come forward at great personal cost to their careers, to their relationships with their families, and sacrificing their privacy.
Yeah, I love the way you say privacy. Louise.
Do you have to translate for me?
Yeah, from my Jersey. But anyhow, when you were assaulted the second time at the Beverly Hilton in Los Angeles, as you wrote about in your blog.
Beverly Hills Hotel.
Beverly Hills, okay.
I don't think you ever stayed at a Hilton.
I don't think I've stayed, okay. The Beverly Hills, okay. You were driven there by a friend of yours who was male, right? Mm-hmm. And then he refused to come forward to say he had driven you and support you and didn't want his name there. Do you feel betrayed by that?
I think it's just a testimony to the power that Harvey wields still, present tense.
Well, let me just ask you this. Could we call that man? Could we call him and say, with you and I, we'll call him together and say, what do you feel now?
Well, after Oprah's speech at the Golden Globes, he called me and he said, I'm here for you. I'll do what I need to do.
That is great. I'm really happy to see that he's in line. But I have one other question. Most people are asking the victims who have come forward, what do you want to say to Harvey Weinstein? I'm going to do it reverse. We have 30 seconds left. If he were to address you, what do you want him to say to you?
That he acknowledges that he needs to get help, and that he understands how he has ruined people's lives, and that he will, for the rest of his life, have compunction about that.
Louise, thank you for coming in. I just Louise, thank you very much. I hope I see you again. I wish you the best. Too. And with Echo, you can Google it, Louise Godbold. Stay tuned.